Here's how we more than doubled this financial client in just a couple of months, but also how I'm going to propel them so much faster and further in the next 24 hours. And by the way, I did, it worked. Make sure you watch to the end of this video to find out exactly how I did it. So this is a major new financial brand in Canada, and when they joined us, they were getting some organic traction, but not a whole lot. They were taking a bit of a PR strategy, trying to get featured in news, but dare I say it, I see a lot of businesses doing this where they put out content about how innovative they are, how great they are, but they're not coming back to the core keyword. What do they sell and what are people actually searching for? And how can we be more strategic about the whole thing and make sure all the content on your website and all the content on other websites talking about you all come back down to what you actually sell, this actual keyword, so you can rank for that and therefore make significant profit. And so as by getting clear on that, over the last few months, traffic has just exploded. So they joined us in April. They were getting monthly visitors of around 350 and an organic traffic value. That's how much that traffic would cost if you had got it through paid Google ads. It's therefore a much better metric in terms of how valuable, how transactional that traffic actually is. Because if people aren't bidding on that traffic with Google ads, then the chances are that traffic's not very valuable. It's not going to convert for your audience. So their traffic value was $1,100 a month. Now let's fast forward to the start of September and we're up to 785 visitors. That's double the traffic and $2,100 a month in traffic value. So early days, but we're still doubled in just a couple of months. And as you can see, this graph is just going up and up. They're about to take off. So how did we do this? Step one, it really comes down to the keyword research. And that meant publishing a lot of content. Now you've seen from most of my content, I generally favor smaller websites. I'm quite well known for my process called the one-page websites method, where you get a keyword-rich domain, put AI optimized content on it, and it ranks pretty much right away. But it all depends on the individual business. And in this case, like I say, major financial company, they're a challenger in the space, but they're able to serve all kinds of different customers, all kinds of different situations. And so for that reason, I said to them, there's all these different niches you can be going after. I always bring this back to the quote from War Dogs, the film, saying, I don't need the pie, I just want the crumbs, because together, the crumbs add up to a significant amount. So this is a challenger. They're competing against all these big established competitors. So they're not going to rank for the big terms right away, the big household names, but they absolutely can compete in the niches. So we basically looked at their products and looked at all the different locations, sub-niches, all the different types of customers they could be serving. And therefore, in month one, we did a huge content sprint and published a vast amount of content targeting all these different keywords. But again, that's not content for content's sake. Every one of those keywords had transactional value. It was someone searching for a particular product. It wasn't just loads of questions and answers about a subject that are going to be answered by an AI overview anyway. So as we scroll through here, not only can you see lots of new traffic with traffic value, but notice the status. Each of these pages is a new page that wasn't there 6 months ago. So this is the first step of your path to SEO success. If you don't have the content there, if you're not targeting that keyword, then you're never going to rank for it and get those sales. So that's step one. As early as possible in the campaign, we try and cover all those bases and make sure you have content that's actually available to Google and available for those searches that basically says, if you're looking for X product, we provide X product. Even better if you can say X product in this location with these particular variations or nuances. And what that basically does is it starts a timer, because content age is a major ranking factor in Google. It takes about 3 to 6 months to start ranking, but then I've had websites where as soon as those pages reach about a year old, the traffic just takes off. So you want to get all that content out there and indexed as early as possible, even if it's imperfect, because you're starting that timer and it's going to age like a fine wine. So if you've got 100 pages and they're all indexed now and getting crawled, if each of them just gets a bit of traffic over the next few months, that's hundreds of potential clicks. And then in 6 months to a year, all of that can take off and compound. But we can actually shorten that process through link building. And that's what we see over here with the blue line. Now, when we're writing that content, we need to actually make sure we're optimizing it correctly. Now, loads of people will go onto WordPress, they'll use a plugin like Yoast or Rank Math, which are perfectly good, but a lot of the recommendations do tend to be quite old. So to be write 500 words, 700 words, and use your keyword 5 times. We want to go much further than that. The way Google actually understands content is Google isn't reading your content. Google's got to crawl and index thousands, millions of pages, and the only way it can do that is basically scanning through and looking at entities. So basically, what are the things you mentioned on your page? This is all using its knowledge graph, where it basically takes a particular subject and associates other key terms with that subject, and it'll basically count the number of times on your page that you mention those particular terms. And all those are just converted into vectors. These are just numbers in a database. So Google is basically a vector database. So when someone searches best SEO agency in the UK, you need to make sure you're using all these other key terms the right number of times, because ultimately Google is just looking to match you against a set of numbers that it regards as perfect content, true, trustworthy, authoritative. So this has given us an overall content score. What this tool Surfer does is it basically takes the target you're looking to rank for, best SEO agency in the UK, and it will look at all your top competitors, particularly those with a good content score. It'll extract all those entities that Google seems to be rewarding. It's kind of like a paint by numbers. This tool will go and look at everything Google is rewarding in the top 10 that you should therefore be doing. So that's why it's able to come up with this recipe that you should have 3,000 words on the page and you should use all these different terms. If you do that, this tool gives you an overall content score. With our clients, we tend to actually share this editable template because sometimes they want to introduce a bit of their own brand voice, a bit of their own terminology, and that's fine. As long as this number stays good, then that's all good. Because you can see we've got a score of 75 out of 100. The top result is only a score of 58, and the average result is only 52, and that's based on all these competitors. So for a lot of niches, it's actually not hard to write content that's so much better than your competition. So we're already writing 50 to 100 pages, and we're writing them so much better than all those competitors in the way that Google actually understands and rewards. So already we're ahead. But back when Google started and you had all these businesses, all these websites, all publishing the same content, targeting the same keywords, how does Google decide who should go higher up or not? And that comes down to backlinks. That's basically a hyperlink, a clickable link on another web. And each time you get one of those, that's like a vote of confidence in your brand and your website. So the more high quality backlinks you can get is more recommendations, more votes that push you higher up on Google. And that's what happened with this client. So whilst we were publishing all this content early on, the blue line represents backlinks. Let's look at this in more detail. So the yellow line here represents organic pages. So that's how many pages are actually ranking. And you can see if we go back to January of this year, they only had 37 pages on their website. Referring domains, that's the blue line. Referring domains are the number of back, and they had 19 of those. But what you can see is as soon as they started with us, we started publishing lots of backlinks. We were conducting outreach, negotiating with webmasters, and getting these link placements back to our client's website. And actually you can see the number of pages shot up in the yellow quite a long time after the blue referring domains line went up. And that's because as we build more backlinks, Google is therefore indexing and ranking more of their pages. So let's tidy this up a bit and take organic pages off. Let's take traffic value off. And what we see here is a really clear correlation that as the blue line backlinks goes up, as we started building the backlinks, the traffic then followed soon after. Like I say, 3 to 6 months to get the initial results. So we published a lot of that content back here around April, May, June. But meanwhile, we're consistently building backlinks every month. So they went from a low of 16 backlinks to now 112 backlinks, and the traffic has responded very nicely. But now we have an interesting situation, because around month 3 to 6, you can lock in a lot of those initial gains, but it can feel like you're not actually making money yet. And that's because lots of your keywords are moving up, but they're not at the top of page 1 yet. Now position 1 gets double the traffic of position 2, which actually gets double the traffic position 3. So it's not like you get to position 7 and you're kind of done, I'm on page 1. You really need to try and get into the top 3 if you possibly can, because you'll get 10 times more traffic easily. But like I say, a lot of that takes time. You're likely to get more of those gains around 6 months to a year later after publishing that content. So you can get into a situation where you've got some really good keywords coming up, and yet you're stuck either on page 2 or the bottom of page 1, and you're not really feeling the full impact yet. You're not getting ROI. You're in that pit of despair where you've invested a lot, but so far you're not getting a lot out of it. So here's a perfect example. This client now ranks for a keyword that gets searched 15,000 times a month. The cost per click of that keyword is $5, which means competitors are spending $5 per click to get that traffic. That means that traffic is valuable and very likely to convert into sales. So if we just think about the dream outcome here, we can have 15,000 searches a month. Each one of those clicks is worth $5. That one page could get the equivalent of $75,000 a month in Google paid ad spend. Now the actual ROI from that can differ depending on your niche, but let's assume that 10% of these people convert. Conversion rates from SEO for these keywords tends to be very high because this is someone searching for a product. and you're popping up saying, we offer that product. So let's assume that 10% convert. That's going to be 1,500. Let's assume that the client makes a mere $100 per sale. So 1,500 sales at $100, that's $150,000 per month from one page and one keyword. Now for this keyword, they're doing quite well. They're at position 22 and it's moving up quite nicely. That shows us Google likes the content. We've written the right page. We're building backlinks to that page. So we're doing everything right, but we're still a bit stuck. We're still on page 3. If I come up here, we can see that keyword actually dropped off shortly afterwards. So it went from 22 to 27. So we're still just struggling to break through. So how can we really push that keyword onto page 1 in the shortest time? And we can do that through my powerful new technique, which is called a click bomb. And that's where we're going to send thousands of viral social media clicks into this page. And then every keyword that page ranks for instantly boosts up within 24 hours. If you're in the top 30 results for that particular keyword, most of the clients we've had for this service suddenly jump up onto page 1. And the aim is we're trying to make it look like that page is going viral and getting shared all over the internet. And therefore Google thinks this is a popular page, it needs to rank higher up. It's a bit like the backlinks, but it's a little bit more sophisticated. Now, it's only a temporary rankings boost. It lasts about a week or so, but there's 2 factors there. Number 1 is down at number 27, they're not getting any engagement. Whereas if you can get onto page 1 for a bit, then you're going to get long-term engagement from that because you're going to have more people clicking around, engaging with that page. Even though the full effect will wear off after a week, the chances are you're not going to fall down to where you were because you're going to have real organic traffic that's actually holding you there. But secondly, even if you did come down again, the chances are if you can rank on page 1 for a keyword that gets searched 15,000 times a month and is worth $5 per click, then even if you're only on page 1 for 1 week, then the chances are your ROI from that is going to be huge. So then you can simply run the strategy again and keep running it every week to keep you on page 1. This is extremely powerful and very few people are doing it. We haven't yet done this yet, but we've got sign off from the client. I've been waiting to record this case study to let it go. So just make a note for now. We're currently at position 27. We have been at position 22, so we really want to try and beat that. Let's now have a go. The time now is just coming up to midday in the UK. The full impact from this process typically lasts from around 12 hours in and then peaks around 24 to 48 hours. So this is using our click bomb strategy. Here's some examples of what we've done before in our testing. So one client in, for instance, the insurance niche went from position 40 to position 19. We moved a Reddit thread from position 9 to position 1. One of my own SEO services page went from position 15 to position 9. Overall, every single page did experience a ranking boost. The average gain was 48%, and the biggest jump was actually 21 positions. We've been testing this over the last few weeks, and still every client is getting results. If you don't get a positive result from this service, then we'll rerun it for you free of charge. So we're just going to keep going until you get some movement. If we still can't get the movement, then we'll give you a money back. But so far, the majority of our clients have been absolutely delighted, getting fantastic results. Just a few days ago, we got someone from position 20 to position 1 in just 24 hours. So I'm now going to pause the video, run that campaign for this client, and we'll review the results in a few hours. Okay, it's now 10 past 7 p.m. in the UK. That's 10 past 7, Monday, 8th of September. Let's go to the client, and you can see keyword last updated, 8th of September at 11:30 UCT. And then if we scroll across here, you can see we're going for a CPC value of $20 per click. Again, different keyword tools will give you different estimates. Same thing with search volume, but I also know that 27,000 is a big number. So if we can get any benefit at all on a keyword that gets searched 27,000 times a month, with a CPC value of $20, then we're on to a winner here. So it's been 7 hours, that should be long enough to get some movement, but as I say, you want to give it 24, 48 hours ultimately. So currently we've had no update, and remember our current rankings are 20 and 21. Depending on browser, mobile or desktop. So I'm now just going to hit the refresh. So that should be going through now. Where's our spinning wheels gone? There we go, there they are. So update has started. Your keywords will automatically refresh once the update is complete. Let's now have a look. Okay, one of them's gone down, that's never great. Okay, for now, both have actually gone down, but that's fine, that's all part of the process. I don't think we're feeling the full effect yet. So we'll give it a few more hours and then we'll check in again. And if it still hasn't moved, then we'll just run the campaign again. And that's how we do it for all our clients. Sometimes for whatever reason, the first blast might not quite work. So remember, when you sign up with us, when you buy a click bomb, you're not paying for a click bomb, you're paying for the outcome. So if we have to run another one to get you that outcome, that's fine by us. So hopefully this lands a little credibility to this case study that it doesn't always work perfectly, but no matter, we'll keep trying. Okay, it's now 10 p.m. in the UK. Let's check in on those rankings again. So last result was a bit disappointing. Let's refresh these. Okay, that's now going round and round, hoping for a better result this time. That update's going through, and we've gone down even lower for the time being. Okay, we'll check in on this in the morning, and then we might need to run the campaign again. It's now 4 p.m. on Tuesday the 9th of September. We did rerun the click bomb this morning, so it's had a couple of hours to take effect now, and so far we've been declining. So nothing to hide. The more data we can get, the better. But now it's time to refresh the rankings on this rank tracker, and we'll find out if there's been any movement today. So that refresh should be going through now. It's going to come up with the spinning wheels any moment now. There. So let's get rid of those. And there we go, we're finally getting some movement. So position 20 to 14, come on, we want a second one. There does seem to be some discrepancy between mobile and desktop with this process. Both 14. Okay, we finally have a result. So that's great news. Interesting that first we went down and then we went. I think my initial suspicion is that this page has already been quite volatile because it's a fairly new page. We're still building backlinks to it. Overall, as you saw from the case study, this client has gone up and up a lot over the last few months from previously not having any SEO done. So it does seem to be that older pages respond better to ClickBomb. So my suspicion is, regardless of what we do with the viral traffic, that page was probably up and down all the time anyway. We saw that from Ahrefs before. So it almost feels like it was on the decline anyway, and the ClickBomb just wasn't enough to actually resurrect that. We've definitely noticed pages that are particularly far down don't really respond. So there's no point, it's not a magic bullet. You can't expect ClickBomb to just fix your whole SEO strategy for you. Publish a new page, new website, no backlinks, weak content, and then push it up to page 2 and 1. But it is extremely effective if you are already either on the bottom of page 1, somewhere on page 2, even on page 3. You have to tick all the right boxes to basically signal to Google we're already a good, authoritative, trustworthy site, and then ClickBomb is able to compound that for you and give you that boost. And that's the same thing we see in all CTR manipulation. You might have seen my CTR manipulation course or any of my other content. We always say focus on the top 30 because it would be unnatural if people are clicking around on Google and suddenly they're going all the way to page 6 to find a result, and then they just happen to be clicking on your result. That's not very plausible. Whereas in the top 30, you just want this gentle nudge to try and push them higher up so that they get real organic clicks to keep them there. So ClickBomb is not quite the same as CTR manipulation. It's a similar process, but the point remains the same. It doesn't matter how viral you are, Google's probably not going to rank you if you haven't checked off the boxes of the right content, right links. So this can definitely accelerate things, but it's not a shortcut. So if you are thinking of this strategy, do feel free to click the link below and apply for a full strategy call with my team, because what we generally advise is basically a process of renting and then owning. You want to use ClickBomb to push your initial rankings while we get started. And as you're building up your authority, as you're building those backlinks, as you're improving your site, improving your content, or we can do it for you, that's when long term you can build that actual real estate that's going to pay off down the line. But now you no longer need that painful 3 to 6 month wait for that real estate to actually build. You can use ClickBomb to actually force your rankings early on. As long as you understand it's a short-term temporary measure, you're going to have to keep doing the ClickBomb in order to maintain that. This process might not even last forever. It probably won't. So you need to make sure you're continuing to invest in your content and backlinks while you're getting ROI in the short term from the ClickBomb strategy. Then down the line, if you combine that authority from backlinks, perfect keyword targeting and content, and you're doing regular click bombs, then you can just dominate your niche. That's everything I'm seeing. So now, because in this instance we are targeting a high volume keyword, that's a keyword that Ahrefs is actually crawling regularly. And therefore, look at this for a graph. This is an absolute traffic explosion. Let me just zoom in a bit here. Feel free to go back to earlier in the video and you can compare side by side. But it's the 9th of September today. Traffic has been growing great throughout August. So if we look at the 4th of September here, we had 746 visitors per month. And if we go up just a little higher, 7th of September, we were at 800 visitors a month. And even on the 8th of September, it was still around 792, still around 800. And yet, here we go. 9th of September, 1,083 visitors a month. At least that's the Ahrefs estimate. Let's put some traffic value on that to verify this is actually good, useful traffic, and that's even higher. Let me take the organic traffic off. And don't forget about the blue line. In the meantime, we are still building backlinks for this client. That's the long-term strategy to actually win. But just look at this increase in traffic value. Again, I reiterate, traffic value is about how much that traffic would cost if you'd used paid Google ads. It's only an estimate, but you want to compare like with like. The fact is, you can have a site that gets 50,000 visitors a month, and it's a load of info content no one actually engages with, no one actually clicks on, You just happen to be ranking for a high volume keyword. But because those people don't actually buy anything, people who are actually bidding on those keywords with Google Ads aren't. Therefore, the estimate in Ahrefs is that keyword isn't actually worth a lot. So it's for that reason I always like to look at traffic value and not traffic volume, because it gives us an idea of just how transactional that traffic actually is. And if you did rely 100% on PPC, paid ads, what would that equivalent organic traffic cost? So if you're an agency or consultant, great tip for you there. Focus on the actual traffic value, not just the volume of traffic, because that can be spoofed very easily. So let's have a look. Throughout August or end of August, we were at $1,800, $1,900. Early September, we hit 2,000. And now if I just look at the 8th of September, we were at 2,123. I'm just going to move slightly to the right here. 9th of September, $3,620 per month. So let me put organic traffic back on. That's a fantastic graph, great result. If we scroll down and look at the keywords, we should see an explosion in the ranking keywords as well. Not actually as pronounced in that case. That follows the natural growth curve we were already seeing. But let's now go and have a look at the calendar. So if we look at July and August, this is a pretty standard calendar view of Ahrefs, where basically it tells you green is keywords moving up, red is keywords moving down. Unfortunately, it doesn't really consider the volume or the value of those keywords, but it just kind of gives you an idea of what's going on algorithmically. So where you've got a Google update marked, that's always a good indicator. If you've got a lot of red after a Google update like this, then you know it's something to do with the update. But it's perfectly normal to have a bit of a balance between red and green. But now let's move over to September. And we're actually doing quite well even before the click bomb, but we can see consistent green over the last couple of days. So now let's have a look at those actual keywords. And there we are. There's our 15,000 a month target keyword, $5 CPC. Again, it's different in keyword.com versus Ahrefs. Don't worry about the absolute numbers, just focus on the trend. Compare like with like. So this 15,000 keyword, that was at position 27, and in this rank tracker it's actually gone up to 11, better than the 14 that was in keyword.com. So that's a movement of 16 positions. That's right about to break onto page 1. In fact, I'm thinking probably with another click bomb, we might actually get that onto page 1. I could also see loads of other keywords moving up as well. That's because, again, we're not targeting individual keywords here. The viral traffic of the click bomb pushes everything that page is ranking for. So it's about the URL, it's not about keywords. But anything that URL ranks for is very likely to shoot up. In this case, this keyword only gets 250 searches a month, but the cost per click, the value of that keyword based on Google Ads, the estimate is $20 per click, and we're now just about to break onto page 1 for that keyword. As promised, we're giving away a full month of click bomb management. This is currently worth about $600. That's the current price. To be honest, we've been very busy with orders the last week, so we're probably going to be increasing prices soon. So that $600 is only going to go up. But meanwhile, I said this ends on the 8th of September. It's now the 8th of September today. We are going to be reopening it, but it's probably going to be more popular this time, because actually we didn't get a whole lot of entries this time. So everyone who entered this time, you had a really good chance of winning. So let's now go and select the winner. I'm now going to go and head over to Claude, and I've said build me a spinning wheel for my giveaway award. It's the 8th of September today. Note that some entrants have ticked yes to sharing a case study and therefore get 5 more entries, so please honour that. Not an obligation. If you want to stay secret, we will of course respect that, but equally, if you're willing for me to do a video case study on your results, then that is much appreciated. So I've pasted in our full table of applicants there. Now, just to catch you up if you weren't already aware, this is a giveaway for my new click bomb strategy, where we send thousands of viral social media clicks from a target location to your page that makes your page look viral. And the result is Google ranks you much higher. We're talking huge ranking jumps, especially if you're already in the top 30. So this local client just the other week, he was at position 12 and 16, depending on whether you were searching on mobile or desktop, and he jumped up to number 1, literally within 24 hours. Now, a result tends to last about a week or so you can absolutely get solid ROI in that week. You're also going to get a lot of genuine engagement where you weren't ranking before, but now you are, so you're going to have real human clicks coming and spending time and engaging with your website. So your rankings don't really diminish to where you started, they will still be higher, but if you do notice a bit of a drop off, the best thing to do is just to click bomb again. So that's why we offer a monthly service and various other fully done for you management systems where we'll just keep you there. So that's what you can win in the giveaway. We are reopening this giveaway, so if you click the link below, you can re-enter for this week. Like I say, not many people entered the first week, so someone is going to get the monthly plan for $600, and it is worth so much more than that. We're probably going to be increasing that significantly in the near future. But for now, let's find out who's won. Now, I know we could just Google for a standard spinning wheel for a giveaway, but I think we can be clever in that. Let's build a nice custom one with Claude. Okay, I believe that's now completed. So let's spin the wheel and we'll see who's won this week's giveaway. It is Myth Murray Leach. You have won a full month of ClickBomb management. We'll reach out via email. If you missed out this time, then hard luck. Feel free to enter again next week. Total entries were 61. There are actually only 13 participants this time, so everyone who entered had a really good chance of winning, and who knows, this week it might not be much more. So I'm now going to go back over to my giveaway. All those last entrants will now be deleted, and now we're going to reopen this with a closing date of the 15th. I'm going to be traveling on the 15th to speak in China. That's the Shenzhen SEO conference. So actually, let's bring that closer. This week, we're going to be closing on the 12th. That's Friday. So you have until Friday to enter and be in the chance with winning this full month of ClickBomb management. And that goes live now.